Okay, so far so good. But maybe something to think about is these rules, whether they do make sense while creating, they probably also would make sense while updating. Okay, so copy pasting all this out will still work, but this may not be the best way to do it. Maybe thinking about where I would need to copy paste, the reason will be this particular bit of data, right? So when you think about it, this is not really controller information. This is more or less of the model information, because this talks about how the data should be stored and how it's structured. So how do we sort that out? You go back to the model and you transfer the data there. So because this is part of the class and not really any instance, we are gonna make sure that it's there. So this is a public static variable. So just gonna call it, say, creation rules, or just call it the rules. Then you're gonna transfer all that we did here. Okay. So you're gonna transfer all this there. There. So far so good. Okay. Now, so you're gonna transfer all this there. So now let's look at this. Yeah, so we forgot to close it off like that. Okay, now once we have that, instead of having all this information here, we no longer need it there. So instead, we're gonna put this. So now we're gonna be fetching from the movie. So from app movie, we're gonna be getting the rules from it. So let's try that, see if it worked. So let's see what happens now when you come here and you try to create a movie. Okay, so undefined class constant rules. Yeah, this is not a constant, it's a variable like that. Let's refresh. Okay, so far works just as we would have expected, and now this is easier to reuse. You can decide if you want to reuse it here or maybe a bit down. So maybe when you're editing information, we don't want to do the exact same thing. We want to put it here. But once you have that, then you might start thinking, what if instead of this, what if we just moved all this out as well? So now we could create something else. So we could create a new function. So we call this again another way. I'm going to call something like, say, run the validator, and then we would provide the data for which to run the validator against that. And then we could now reuse this. So just copy paste that, and now we only need to return it. Right, so we no longer need this. Okay. Okay, so now this, instead of calling all this, we're just gonna run the validator here. So we're just gonna have in app so you're gonna have in app movie run validator, app movie run the validator. And of course you're gonna have the data coming from input, just like that. Okay, there you go. Let's just delete this. Okay, so that looks good, but now this is taking on data from there, so let's again change it up so that it uses this data. Now let's try it, see what it does. See if it works. Still works. Nice. Now we can reuse this as we wish. So now come right here and this one out. Then now when we have our edit and our data is getting edited, we can make sure that the data that we are receiving is valid as well. Okay, so same case, but now if we have this, instead of taking users there, we're going to take them back to update. So there we go. Now let's go back to our update. Let's say we run it. Okay, so this fails because we need to provide our ID. Now we could easily do that here by appending the data such. So now we put in the information like this. Ideally this should work. Let's just quickly test it out. See if we are correct. Yeah, so that works. We may not have seen it, but note that instead of saving it took you back. But that's not what we want to do. Instead, we're going to use something else. So instead of doing this, instead of redirecting to a specific URL, it's possible for us to redirect back. This is how we do it. Now instead of using this redirect that is provided directly, just going to use this. So just going to say direct back. Now we no longer have need for this. So let's test it out. Okay, great, that works. This by the way would have worked in the exact same way here when creating as well, so that you don't need to do it like this. This is a far better shortcut, just using redirect, then specifying redirect back. Okay, so this still would have worked. So let's quickly see that. Say when you're creating. Okay, so see that works when you use it like that. Okay, now of course we need to fix this as well. Make sure that this also works. The way to do that is just the exact same way that we have done for add movie. So how it works for add movie here, that we were able to do it by putting in our errors. That's the exact same way which you would be able to do for edit, right? So this is the exact same way. So I think for us it would probably be a bit easier to copy this part out and go right ahead and create it here. So go right ahead and see if we can just the rating. So I want to put it here. Now we just need to lift these values. And then where we have here, we had no value, can just put it there. Next, of course, we have that, which also we put in inside the value tags. Next, we have the rating, which you put inside the ratings tag. Now we no longer need this, but so we are gonna just go right ahead and delete it. Okay, so let's try it out. So let's go back to movies. Let's try to edit one. Edit this one. Okay, so it seems to work. Try to update it, it's telling us generate not invalid. Put one that is valid, and now that works. Okay, so let's do that. Let's make sure that even the editing is working as expected.